I am probably going to be looking all over the place. Let me fix this because I'm streaming multiple places today. What's up, guys? Yeah, I'm streaming. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So if you see me looking everywhere, that's why. But I wanted to come on here and talk about this because I posted this video for the second time recently, like just the other day, and I got a ton of questions about the process of getting a business vehicle, but also about what happened with me getting rid of my business, well, one of our vehicles. So I had a ton of questions. So I said, you know what? Let me just go live and talk about this, because I'm sure this is a topic that I get questions about all the time when it comes to getting business vehicles or even the process of getting luxury vehicles, because a lot of people don't realize that buying a luxury vehicle or a vehicle that is, a little bit more expensive, $50, $60, $80, $100,000, the process is a little bit different than getting a vehicle that maybe costs a little bit less, and there's a little bit more that goes into it when it comes to like the financing or leasing side, or what to look for, or how to even be qualified for that. Okay, so there's a ton of questions, but the post that I made just the other day about how I got rid of my car, my Mercedes, this is basically what happened. So we got that car back in 2019. It was a Mercedes, like a small C-Class. It wasn't, anything like super fancy, but it was only the second vehicle that we had gotten under our business. So the first one was a Ram truck that we had gotten like maybe a couple months before we had gotten that one, and this was, like I said, back in 2019. And so that car, I kept very low miles on it, so that's one thing. So we were leasing. A lot of people don't realize that when you are leasing, though, there are different packages that you can get. So some packages can have like more miles. Some might have less miles depending on how much you drive, how many vehicles you have, and things like that. But if you do go over miles, there are things that you can do. But I kept pretty low miles on it. So when we gave them the car, and that was January of this year. So we had the car since, was it August 2019 until January 2022. Our actual lease was supposed to be up like either end of this year or beginning of next year. I can't remember. But I think I only had like 16,000 miles, like 16,000 some change miles on the car. Interior perfect, outside pretty perfect. It looked like a pretty brand new car. So because of that, obviously it appraised for a certain amount. And so one thing that I tell people to do, like if you are financing, which the car market from what it was in January, okay, it's obviously going to be different than what it is right now. So just keep that in mind. It may not be exactly the same, but this is just what I did. So what you'll want to do is go get your car appraised first. So like if you want to get out of your lease or want to get out of your finance car, don't go to the dealership and tell them that you're trying to get rid of the car, right? Because then they're not going to be completely transparent with the numbers, because they're going to want to pay as little as possible for the vehicle, because that's going to increase their profits, right? So when you go in there, don't tell them that you're looking to get rid of the car. So what we did, we took it to Mercedes, which it was a leased vehicle. So it was leased through Mercedes, because it was brand new when we got it. I went to them and just asked for an appraisal. So literally just go to a dealership. If you are leasing, you probably have to go to the same manufacturer. But if you are not leasing and you're financing, you can take it somewhere else and get it appraised and see like what is the actual value of the car right now. And then you'll have some numbers to actually go in and negotiate, okay? You don't want to negotiate against yourself. So if you're telling them that you're trying to get rid of it, they're not going to give you the real numbers. That's just, obviously, a lot of you probably have gone through the process of getting a car, or, going to car dealerships and things like that, and you know that they'll fast talk you, okay? They'll try to act like you don't know what you're talking about. So that's why you have to really go in there and like already know what you're talking about. So you can look up the value of it like yourself, but go in there and get it appraised. And then once they got our car appraised, they told us what the current value of it was with the condition, with the miles and the year and all that. Then we told them, hey, like we're looking at getting out of our lease, you know, what are you guys able to do? And so then, I mean, the process, I think we were in there for like an hour. It really wasn't that long at all. But like I said, this was back in January, and you know, they were super desperate for cars, especially with the microchip shortage and all that good stuff. But I don't know if it's the same right now in the market, just to be totally honest, because I haven't walked into a car dealership in months. But yeah, the process was super fast. Now we still owed, it was like $12,000 and some change. We still owed that on the actual lease. And so what a dealership can do, whether it's a lease or finance, they can agree to say, hey, you know, we're going to pay this amount for the car. They'll pay off whatever is owed on that lease agreement, or, you know, your financing. So a lot of people saying, oh, you can't sell a lease because you don't own it. No, they will literally buy out your lease agreement. You can do this, and you still have another year and you want to go get a new car, you can take it somewhere else, and that dealership can decide to pay out the remainder of your lease agreement. So a lot of people don't realize that there are different types of leases, and everyone's lease agreement is not going to be the same. Okay, but I'm not going to dive super deep into the different types of leases today. But yes, you can have your lease agreement be bought out at a dealership. If they want the car that bad, they will pay it out. And so that's basically what they did. Any fees or anything with the mileage, like, they covered that and they paid it. So we didn't have to pay any fees for mileage. We didn't have to pay any additional fees to get rid of the car at all. They just took it. And so when you do that, how it showed up as like we just paid off the lease agreement as agreed. Okay, so it wasn't like a ding to like the business credit or our relationship with them. It literally just looks like we took cash and we paid off the car. A lot of people don't realize that having a good relationship with these dealerships is key. So especially if you're someone who is into cars, or maybe you're wanting to get like higher caliber vehicles that are like, you know, I don't know, 70,000, 80,000, 100,000, having this relationship is really good. And so a lot of people, when I posted that video, they were like, why would you pay so much for a C-Class? Because I think at the time our payments were like $700 for that car. But keep in mind, our business was, I think it may be about 2 years old. It's probably about 2 years old at that time. This is back in 2019, or maybe like a year and a half. It wasn't even 2 years yet for our business. And it was under the business name. So if we had decided to get it under our personal name, they even told us that the payments would absolutely be cheaper. But we decided to go that route. I would have rather paid more to make sure I'm getting it under my business name. So that's what we did. Also, another thing to keep in mind is that if you have never gotten a vehicle at a certain price point, you are going to have to pay in a little bit more. So that's why our payments were a little bit higher. But here's the thing, we were willing to pay a little bit higher because now if I were to go back to Mercedes and get another vehicle, I have that relationship with them. Now, Hellcat, so we were able to get qualified for a little bit of a higher amount. So with our Dodge Ram and with the Mercedes, we didn't put any down payment, but as you start to pay for higher caliber vehicles, you can expect to put, money down, especially if you are going to go through so if you only have a history of having a vehicle that costs, $30,000, now you're wanting to go get a vehicle that costs $80,000, 9 times out of 10, a lender or a bank is not going to want to make that huge jump from 30 to 80. So they're only going to cover a certain percentage of the cost of the car. Okay, I'll be willing to jump up to 60,000, but I'm not going to be willing to do 80. So there's certain thresholds that you